Want to know how to illustrate a children's book but not sure where to start? Trust me, it's way less complicated than you might think. In this video, I'll walk you through 8 simple steps to go from a blank page to finished illustrations. No art degree required. First things first, you'll need to figure out your creative direction, which starts by knowing who you're writing for and getting a real feel for what's already been created. The age range you're targeting will shape everything from the format of your book to the tone. For instance, board books are usually for babies and toddlers, while picture books work well for kids around 4 to 8. Meanwhile, chapter books start coming in around age 6 and up, and your style plays an important role too. Younger kids tend to love rhyming because it's fun and easy to follow. Then tense also plays a role, like writing in the present or past tense, which can keep things engaging depending on the kind of story you're telling. That said, there's no right way to pick your audience. It really comes down to what kind of story you want to tell and what feels like the best fit for the kids you're writing for. Once you've got that figured out, start reading some bestsellers for that age group. Notice the language, the sentence length, the tone, and take a look at the illustrations too. All of that can give you a better sense of what works and help you come up with ideas that actually click with young readers. Even though children's books tend to be short, they're not always easy to write. In fact, the shorter the story, the more intentional every word has to be. This is where a storyboard comes in. Now, a storyboard is a simple way to map out your entire story, page by page. It helps you figure out what's happening in each scene and gives your writer or illustrator a clear direction to follow. To start building yours, you can ask yourself a few things. First, who are your main characters? Are they animals, kids, living objects? What are their personalities and how do they relate to each other? Second, what actually happens? Think about the main events, what your characters want, and the challenges that they each face. And third, where does the story take place? This is the world your characters live in, so try to imagine the setting as clearly as possible. It can be helpful to sketch your storyboard with pen and paper or use a digital tool like Photoshop. What matters most though is that you have a visual guide to help bring the story to life. Now it's time to think about the illustration style, and there is no one right answer here, but there are a few guidelines that can help. Let's go over a few examples together. Airbrush gives you that soft, dreamy look that works well for gentle or emotional stories, while crayon has a more playful, hand-drawn vibe. That's great for younger kids. On the other hand, vector art feels clean and modern, while watercolor tends to work best for nature themes or more adventurous stories. The style you choose sets the tone for the whole entire book. For kids, the visuals matter just as much as the words do, sometimes even more. But you really don't need to be an award-winning artist to figure this out. In fact, you can use tools to make the whole process a bit easier on yourself, like Midjourney or DALL-E, to test out different styles. Try typing something like a cheerful monster flying through space in watercolor, and you'll get instant visuals to help you explore what feels right for your story. Now that your storyboard is looking good, it's time to move on to the writing. And if you're not planning to write the book yourself, I recommend hiring someone to help. Fiverr is a great place to start because all you have to do is type something like children's book writer into the search bar, and you'll see plenty of options. And if you don't want your name on the cover, look for a ghostwriter. That way they do the writing, but you're listed as the author. When you're in the process of actively choosing a writer, be sure to take a good hard look at their portfolio. You'll want someone who's written for your target age group and has experience with similar themes, and of course make sure that their rates and deadlines work for you. Then once you've picked someone, give them a clear idea of what you're looking for. Things like tone, style, and who the book is for. Finally, give feedback as they write. This helps make sure that the finished book still feels like your own. As I mentioned earlier, kids are very visual learners, so your illustrations need to help tell the story just as much, if not more, than the words do. To make that happen, you'll want a great illustrator who can bring your ideas to life. Just like with hiring a writer, head to Fiverr and search for the style you're after, along with the word illustrator. You'll get a ton of results to choose from. Take a look at their past work to see if the style style matches your vision. Then talk through rates, timelines, and expectations, and go with the person you feel really gets what you're trying to create here. Before you publish your book, it's really important to make sure you test it out. Just because it's a kid's book doesn't mean you can skip this step. If anything, it's even more important than with regular fiction. But listen, you don't need to overthink this. Just find a few parents, teachers, or caregivers who have kids in your target age group and then have them read or listen to the story. Kids are brutally honest, sometimes a little bit too honest. Ask if they like it, and if they didn't, find out why. Was it boring? Too long? Hard to follow? Even just watching how they react while the story's being read can give you a lot of insight. It'll help you figure out what's landing and what's not. So by the time your book's ready to go out into the big wide world, it's something kids actually enjoy and relate with. Alright, now it's time to talk about one of the most important and exciting parts of your children's book. The cover. If you didn't know this, it's estimated that over 4 million books are published every year. That means your book is going to be surrounded by a lot of other competition, all trying to grab someone's attention. And the one thing that can make someone stop and pick up your book is a strong front cover. Work with your illustrator to sketch out what the front and back might look like. Start with loose ideas, go back and forth with feedback, and make adjustments until it feels just right. There are 3 important things to keep in mind while your cover comes together. First, pretty obvious, the title. It should be bold, clear, and easy to read from across the room. Second, make it stand out. Your story is one of a kind, so your cover should feel that way too. Think about the books like The Very Hungry Caterpillar or Llama Llama Red Pajama. Those bestsellers have covers that have bright colors, playful fonts, and strong characters that have a way of making you stop and notice. And third, make sure it looks polished. At this point, you've likely put a lot of time and effort and money into this book, and the cover should reflect that. Once you've got your story and your illustrations, it's time to bring everything together and create your finished product. If you're working with a publisher, they'll usually handle this part for you and bring in a book designer. But if you're self-publishing, it's on you to lay out the book or find someone who can help. This means fitting your text and images into the final page size, also known as the trim size. If you're comfortable doing it yourself, tools like Procreate or Photoshop can work really well. But there's a bit of a learning curve here, so be ready to watch a few tutorials if you're absolutely new to them. And if you'd rather not do it on your own, you can always hire a book layout designer on Fiverr so they can handle all the nitty-gritty details for you. Hopefully these 8 steps gave you a clear forward path and a little extra confidence to get started. And if you found this helpful, go ahead and like this video, share it with anyone who's working on a book, and drop a comment if you have questions. And of course, don't forget to subscribe so you'll know when the next video goes live.